I brought my parents back to our hometown for the new year, but as soon as we got off the car, a neighbor asked me for $10,000 for road construction. Just because while I was away, the neighbor turned the small path between our houses into a wide road for his son's wedding. Now that I'm back, he couldn't wait to ask me to split the cost. I sneered when I heard that. The revenge I had waited 30 years for had finally come. Our families had been neighbors for many years. 30 years ago, the village divided housing land. Our plots were right next to each other with no path in between. My grandfather went to talk with them. He suggested both families give up 2 meters to make a 4-meter wide road. Back then, they agreed with confidence. But after the houses were built, they only gave up 1 meter. My grandfather tried to reason with them, but they turned their backs on him. To seek justice, my grandfather went everywhere to file complaints. But the result was always that it was just a moral issue, not illegal. So he held in that frustration for 30 years. Even on his deathbed, he was still muttering about it. 30 years later, the neighbor's son was getting married. To show off, they decided to rebuild their house into a 2-story villa. But while laying the foundation, they expanded 1 meter again. The original 3-meter path was now only 2 meters wide, and those 2 meters were completely on our land. On the first day of construction, I brought my parents to discuss it kindly. But the neighbor mocked me for being nosy. He said it was his land and he could build as much as he wanted, and he asked if 2 meters weren't enough for us to walk through. My father got angry and wanted to block the road with bricks, but the neighbor used his younger son being a lawyer to threaten us. He said the law protected the only access road between neighbors, and they had to use this path. He wanted to see what I could do about it. Seeing my father about to lose control, I quickly stopped him. Since the neighbor wouldn't listen, we might as well find someone who would. I called the village committee and the management team, but the result was the same as 30 years ago. The neighbor broke no laws or rules, so they could do nothing. Just when the villagers were ready to laugh at us, they didn't know this was exactly what I had been waiting for. Now that all procedures were done, I had nothing holding me back anymore. Back home, I told my parents not to worry. All they had to do now was wait. This time I was not just fighting for the 2-meter road, but for the pride our family had lost for 30 years. Without my interference, the neighbor quickly started construction. They piled all the materials in the middle of the path, and the noise lasted from morning to night. Half a year later, their new house was completed, in front of the whole village. The neighbor loudly asked why our family didn't attend. He said we had been neighbors for so many years, and we showed no respect at all. The villagers bullied the weak and flattered the strong. To please the neighbor, they laughed at us, saying even though I went to college, I still got bullied in the end. Inside the house, my mother wiped her tears in silence. I couldn't bear to see my parents stay in the village and suffer, so I took them to the city to live with me. Time passed and the wedding day finally came. To make it look grand, they paved the dirt path on our land with smooth cement. While the family was admiring the new road, I who had stayed silent finally made my move, because the moment I had waited for had arrived. With some persuasion, my parents hesitantly returned home, but as soon as we got out of the car, we were stopped by the neighbor. He immediately asked us for $10,000 for the road. I looked at him coldly and asked who gave him permission to build a road on my land. Did he get my approval? The neighbor tried to argue, saying the road benefits everyone, but I cut him off. Told him to restore the road to its original state within 3 days, but the arrogant neighbor ignored me.